Hey everyone, I hope you are having a wonderful time. Today I'm going to share my experience of this Pro-Ject audio speaker box, currently retail for $350 for a pair of these. And this one is a high gloss black with the 25mm silk soft tone tweeter with this 5¼ inch bass driver. This is a two-way design, size is about a little over 10 inches tall, so very compact size stand mount speaker that you can have for $350. The reason I'm doing a review is I just wanted to share a good sounding two-way design stand mount speaker in like under $500 price range. So I thought this one is great candidate for you to enjoy it and sharing my experience how they sound in my system and how they measure in my room. So overall frequency response very good, very well extended highs with very nice amount of space and instrument separation and everything that you can have in this price point. Mid-range is very accurate, very detailed sound, voices and vocals as good as it can be, neutral and very close to transparent and colorless sound that you can have for this size and price. In terms of separations and everything, pretty much comparable to speakers such as a Dolly Oberon 1 and spaciousness and wide soundstage and high frequency extension. Dolly Oberon 1 has a much better, cleaner bass quality. So that is the little quick comparison to Dolly Oberon 1. And this one, if I have to compare to other speaker in this price point, wafted Diamond 225 or Diamond 220 will be the right competition. This one will have a cleaner, more transparent sound with more articulate notes, with more engaging mid-range and high frequency extension, yet a little bit more spacious sounding overall frequency range and wider soundstage as well. Then Diamond 225 may have a little bit deeper soundscape. So those are the difference in these speakers. But personally, I think this one is overall better in terms of resolution and detailed sound that it can produce. So such as a JBL Studio 530 can be comparable, but the problem was the JBL Studio 530 cater totally different kind of music. Pro-Ject Speaker Box is a little bit more forward in upper mid-range and mid-range area with a little bit boosted mid-bass area. JBL is a little less forward, but it has a really good cohesive sound based on the horn-loaded compression driver. But sensitivity, this one is much more sensitive than JBL or wafted Diamond 225. This one rated for 85 dB sensitive, but when I try it, it should be around like 88 to 89 dB sensitivity range in room response. Okay, so that sensitivity rating is probably based on the anechoic chamber response, but in room response is always 3 to 4 dB more. So this one is very easy to drive and easy to enjoy speaker. You can get to like 75, 80 dB range, no problem. And then you can even push it to like 90, 95 dB range without straining any of these drivers. That is a really impressive for this size of the speaker in my book. You can push it. So ultimate bass test will be, if you play loud, a lot of small speaker will bottoms out, such as Billie Eilish Bad Guy intro. That intro is ultimate power handling test, or bass response test, or whatever you may want to call it. Every time I test that track, especially a lot of speaker in like $1,000 to $2,000 price range, this kind of mini stand mount speakers, including LS50 Matter or those speakers, they have tough time keeping up. So LS50 will bottoms out. This one is slightly better, okay, in terms of that power handling. So this one is totally capable of handling and delivering. It may not be as clean or like articulate as the LS50 can do, but it doesn't have problem handling a lot of power and abuse. It doesn't bottoms out until I crank it up above 95 dB range, so which is very impressive. Mid-range accuracy, human voices and vocals as good as any speakers in this price point, as well as the upper range, mid-range to upper mid-range region that it has a tiny bit of brightness that it can produce with certain music, especially poorly recorded music, or that frequency, exaggerated frequency in that range for that music. So that will be noticeable. Transition area from such as upper bass to lower mid-range region, or upper mid-range to lower highs region, it may have a little bit of congestion there depending on what type of music you are playing. So those are the little things that I like to share. Bass quality, it may not be the cleanest bass quality such as in small speakers, such as in like Darley Oberon 1 for instance. So those are really good clean bass quality that it can produce. It may not be as good, but not too far behind. So I started out this speaker with my desktop system using my old amplifier, soon to be released a SMS DAC, as well as Dina Phipps Aries 2. And whether you're using near feet or regular listening position like 8 to 10 feet away for me in this room, so I sit on my desk and I enjoy it. It's really impressive in near feet as well. Either use it as your desktop speaker, or even you can use it as your main stereo speaker. The reason is it has a very good wide soundscape, nice detailed sound, and depth is incredibly good for this size and price of the speaker. Very impressive. But if you look at the my in-room response measurement graph, it has a little bit of a boosted in mid-bass area as well as upper mid-range and mid-range area. That BBC kind of dip in that 6,000 hertz area. So when I see the graph after average all measurements that I did, all on exist measurement on this Twitter, so that graph, when I see the graph, oh crap, this graph looked like a LS35A. So then I pull out all the measurements that they have on Stereophile website, which John did the a lot of LS35As there and the measurements. So I saw the graph as I'm showing here. The red one is the Starlin Broadcast LS35A V2. The blue one, I think the blue one is the LS35A by Kev from like 1996, and the bottom one is the original LS35A from Rogers. So this one is very much identical or very close to that Starlin Broadcast of LS35A V2 measurement that took by John Atkinson from Stereophile. So this one, I was like, wow, that is the foundation. That's how they use it. But the problem was this one lacks the refinement like the Starlin Broadcast or Falcon Acoustic can do. It has a really good frequency extension, similarity in sound signature, but it doesn't have the really refinement, I would say. So that is the difference between this budget $350 and those a few $1,000 speakers. But overall foundation and baseline is very similar. So if you EQ this one, probably it will outperform those Starlin Broadcast V2 speakers in my opinion, because this one has an incredible power handling, and this one also may have a bit wider soundstage as well. So those are the surprising thing for me, and that's why I'm sharing this experience, okay? But generally, I am not big fan of forward sounding speakers, to be honest with you. Not forward, I mean this speaker tend to show that sound signature significantly. The better better quality recording, it doesn't show as much. But when the music, the source music is a little less quality, it can totally annoy you or me if you are sensitive to that. So that's what I experienced. This setup, I'm using very simple setup here. This top-end PA5 Class D amplifier directly connected to my Sony HAP-Z1 ES music server. So because, I just want to make sure I'm not using, like expensive amplifier to play with, because if you use really good expensive amplifiers, every speaker sounds great. That's why I try to match components. Of course, I try with my Denon PMA S611, probably like 5 or 7 songs, and I tried, and it totally shows the actual color and signature sound of this S611, which is a little bit warmish sound signature in mid-range to upper mid-range area that you can totally hear. So bass will be much cleaner with this amp than the top-end PA5. So that's the budget amp and pretty expensive amp can do in terms of sound quality. So I tried that, but I stopped using it because my reference speaker cable is very heavy. This speaker is tilting backwards, so I disconnect the cable because I don't want this one tilted backward and fall on the floor. So I changed the cable and connected to this PA5. Then I'm using this Belton 9497 speaker wires with the Monoprice Premier banana jack to XLR balance cable. So that is the very simple setup and direct playback that you will hear in my sound sample. So overall experience is very good, and I'm totally impressed by it in my room, the way they sound, the scale and dynamic range in particular, but overall frequency extension and high, especially in higher range of frequencies, it has really good extension and nice separation, although it lacks a little bit of refinement as well as airiness that I'm used to from speakers such as this Musician Night One. So those are my experiences that I want to share. I mean, I'm not totally convinced that this speaker is giant killer. Probably it may be, because if you know how to match the synergy, then it may outperform original LS358 in terms of dynamic range attack and frequency response. So lowest of the notes, of course, you will need a good subwoofer. I will cross over around from 55 Hz to 65 Hz region in stereo mode if you are using it in. So that, and then I'll fine tune it from there. Then you will get a really good full frequency spectrum and really good skillful beautiful music in your room. So this one can sound great with the good quality high-end amplifier or really good budget amplifier such as top-end PA5. You will be totally happy with it if you enjoy your music in 2-channel mode. And next thing is if you want refinements like real LS358 from Starling broadcast speakers, then you will need to do a little bit of EQing or tone control. Then you may get close to it. So overall foundation and bass foundation and frequency response, that's probably the original idea of this speaker. So the size, the price and performance and overall sound quality and transparency, this one is pretty transparent and very impressive sounding small stand mount speaker that you can have for $350. So that is my experience, my friend. Enjoy your music. Thank you very much for watching and happy listening.
Sky, it's the color of love. One